flashes back over the wall, maybe looking for a flank angle. He decides to run in with the storm. He locks down Rich, but the damage on Tomo was enough. Berserker's got his first kill of the game, and Cloud9 makes it 2. JoJo's in a rampage, and Berserker ain't done. He dashes, he flashes, he takes out Sejuani for a double kill, and C9 is gonna walk it in from here.
I mean, with C9, so we're gonna win.
But I still thought it could have been anyone's game. These last couple of minutes, though, has just been disaster after disaster after disaster. Face check in bot lane, you die. Go top lane, you die. Then overstay top lane, your ADC dies. Then your jungler is killing the crab, he dies too. It's just everything going wrong.
Team Liquid, they were down in the early game. They trusted themselves to dig in, defend, and scale up. And they're gonna scale straight into a victory.
I put my bet on you.
I said I was ready to
No, but we should.
I hear bomb.
GG.
GG.
Yeah.
Keeping up,
Yeah.
Fight. We should fight.
Okay.
They're in a flash.
Jerry. Jerry.
It's good fight,
Jerry dead.
What's
Jab.
Oh, I'm done.
Taliyah.
I'm done. Jack's no flash.
Fight. Just keep fighting, guys.
I've combo.
Bull. Quid, you're so good. MVP.
Woo! Could just be it. Tactical's under fire. It's only up to Castle and Olleh, but 2-on-5 are not great odds for Immortals as they find the charm, and that could just be the end of Immortals' dream.
VULCAN is they're behind.
Yeah, watch Senna. Senna, the play. Watch here.
Yep, we're full fight here, full fight.
I'm looking Senna.
Picking us up right now, it's just you, Aaron. It's me too.
I can win.
Okay,
Aatrox will flash.
Yeah, Aatrox, it's all you guys now.
Nice one. We won.
We won. Can we end
No,
up with
Nico,
top? End with top.
Nico.
TP.
Okay, I will TP.
Aaron, TP.
Go top.
Aaron can end.
Yep.
Welcome back to the LCS waiting room. We have a special guest today.
Hey!
How you doing?
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be honored with the pleasure of coming in on the final week of a regular season that has been such a banger for LCS, and we get to finish strong at least the last 2 days.
Couple of updates for today. We hold in our hands every possible remaining scenario for the LCS regular season.
We have to share, though.
And also,
Time to whip it out.
The
producers have
length is
given.
unreal.
I mean, it's
just
nice.
look. Let's see. Does it go across the whole couch?
Oh my god.
Kind of.
So for what it's
I
worth,
feel like you need to understand astrology.
it's 4
for that.
times shorter than it was last year.
Yeah,
We had
it used
10
to be
games remaining.
taller than me once we
Yeah.
got to this point, and now it is not.
Less teams make it a little easier.
And I'm sad.
I feel like you could just be reading off of this and feel like you're very educated in some ways, but my goodness.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Also, Raz has been given the green light from producers to have his phone out during waiting room for interaction with chat. But you better be paying attention to what we're saying. You can't
Hell
just
no.
be the gremlin on the phone.
Do you think Twitch chat pays? Come on.
I can use my damn phone when I'm at work. That's crazy.
You need to give us updates of fun facts. You need to be the one who looks things up for us.
That's fair. I don't like that responsibility.
Yeah.
That part is a little
But
bit
you're
too
the
much.
one with the computer in the palm of your hands. Anyway, yesterday, we had LCS on a Friday. There were a couple of big takeaways. Team Liquid, who struggled after the break initially, came out in a big way with what was coined the Zoo Comp. Because we got Renekton, Volibear, a couple of dragons, and then Core JJ, the zookeeper in the bottom with Nautilus.
I will say, just as a zookeeper in my former life, they were taking good care of the animals, and it was nice to see in some ways. But any way you could attribute that is great.
Very similar to Game of Thrones. One dragon is down. If you didn't want to get spoiled, I'm sorry. You just don't. I'm doing you a favor. Except this one had a good ending for Team Liquid.
It did. I mean, what's interesting about this team comp is it definitely looked like it could have the problem of having an Aurelion Sol and a Smolder that just don't do anything, but I think it at least fit the strengths of the players. So it's promising that they're able to win that game because they have a really hard schedule. Another big takeaway from yesterday was Quid's continued dominance. He won his 6th player of the game, which is pretty incredible considering we've played 12 games. He's won POG in half of the games he's played on stage.
Yeah, and no one can catch him now, right? Because the next 2 closest, I believe, are JoJo and Blaber at 3 POGs apiece. So with only 2 games left, Quid is the default POG winner.
He is. If it was LCK of 2 years ago, he'd just be the MVP.
He'd be
There you
It would
MVP.
be over. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is the growth that we've seen that started last year into this
Yeah.
year. And I think over the season, we've really seen him find a lot more confidence in his own right.
100%. Like, it felt like it started in that Aatrox game.
Yeah.
Where he got to play, like, and in general, for the interviews that we've had with Golden Glue and also himself in the Player of the Week, he was just talking about how, like, yeah, he just, at some point, just didn't care anymore because he was worrying too much. He was talking about last split, how the pressure of, like, being around so many, like, established veterans. Of course, it was first split. There's a lot that's packaged up in there. Yeah. But he's in a great environment, and he's able to just perform without any kind of stress and pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of scenarios left here in this foldy sheet where they can actually be first.
True.
Which is pretty wild. Also, if you want your own foldy sheet and you have a printer, you can go to Lolly Sports Stats on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, or you can just use it on your computer like everyone else does.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's not as wasteful as in previous years, as we mentioned before. It's not that many. I mean, the fact that it's within my wingspan.
True.
This has never happened before.
Also, you can have a lot of fun with. You're gonna need some extra space if you want to print it out. I feel like you're gonna need to pull out the trays and stuff, but it's fun to roll up and then let it go again. You just keep doing that over and over again.
Okay.
But don't get too handy with it. Then it'll get a little moist. So just calm down a little bit.
We need to talk some playoff scenarios.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
So we have the tool made by our head statistician from yesterday, and we all have a particular scenario we want to go through for what happens in the remaining 8 games. So Emily, you're up first.
All right. I'm going to go through. So technically there are 4 scenarios where Cloud9 can lock first.
Okay.
There are 4 because the path is incredibly similar, but there are a bunch of games that don't matter, right? So firstly, they have to win their remaining 2 games.
Okay.
FlyQuest has to lose their remaining 2 games, and 100 Thieves have to lose their 2 remaining games, and that will automatically lock Cloud9 in at top 1. The reason why there are 4 scenarios is because these games do not change the outcome. But yeah, so for Cloud9 essentially to make it to first, no tiebreakers, nothing. Essentially, Cloud9 fans, you're rooting for 100 Thieves to lose all their games and FlyQuest to lose all their games.
Nice. 6 things need to happen.
True.
Yeah.
Raz, what needs to happen for your scenario?
All right, let's bring it up, because this one's actually extremely easy.
Wait, mine wasn't? I thought it was pretty...
Yes, it was straightforward.
Yeah,
Pretty
it's like,
straightforward,
this
yeah.
one
Well
needs to
explained.
happen.
Well, at least from mine in particular, NRG is already... Oh, wow, I'm going on NRG. Shopify Rebellion is already in arm's reach within Dignitas. So just like from their games, as long as they're winning one, they're in a pretty solid
Raz, do me a
spot.
favor. You're showing how they make playoffs, right?
Oh my God, get me out of there. There we go.
Top 6. Here we
That
go.
is true. As long as they win this, and I think it's very believable for Team Liquid to win in the versus Dignitas, and of course, like this one, I think this one's extremely doable. So you just need 2 of those situations to happen for Shopify to be able to get 100% success rate. So I think naturally Dignitas have a very difficult run. They have to be able to at least beat Team Liquid, and I think Team Liquid has been performing better, especially from yesterday's games. And in this case, they have to go up against FlyQuest. So I would say just watch Shopify Rebellion's games, Dignitas games. Those are the 2 teams that are in contention, and it's, of course, top 6 makes playoffs. So I just wanted to make that very clear, because at least for those 2 teams, they're right next to each other.
That energy win was huge for them then, because essentially they don't even have to worry about beating C9, who's been on like an upsurge towards the end of the split.
Speaking of NRG, that's who I'm going to be talking about a little bit today, and I'm going to need you all to bear with me.
You're an NRG fan?
I'm a little bit of an NRG fan. Might be because I was a little biased on Dokla, but I think as a whole, you just got to stick with me here, because we're going to walk down. Now, last split, last summer, incredible moments. The underdog story, NRG come from the bottom and they win everything. They ended that split 9-9. We want to make it there again. So we're going to focus on Mr. NRG right in the middle there.
Yes.
And not do the right click. As for them, if we want to see the best scenario where they end up in that 500 record and potentially remake another title run, win that title, we're going to see all of Red Side win today.
What the hell?
Okay.
Which sets us up interestingly, because then the real conversation comes to the second part, where we have IMT beating TL, but then, now again, hold with me, NRG lose to 100 Thieves, but that will ensure that they will face them in the first round robin, or the first round of the playoffs, as you see here. Fourth place, facing 100 Thieves. It is a team that NRG has been very confident in calling frauds this year, and maybe they'll be able to take a matchup like that. So NRG's dream run starts with getting a 500 record.
Lose is improve, as they say.
That's fair.
Yeah. Lose for seeding against 100 Thieves. Okay, so I got something a little different. We've been flaming ourselves the whole split for our preseason power rankings not being accurate.
Yes.
I'm not willing to say that it's wrong yet. So pull up my preseason power rankings, and my scenario is all about making these things happen. So I had C9 and Energy at the top. So clearly, I need C9 to win both of their games. I also need Energy to win both of their games, and we're getting a little bit closer. So 100 Thieves can't win another game, so they have to lose to Shopify Rebellion. And then FlyQuest clearly can't win another game either.
Clearly.
And this Dig versus TL game, I need TL to actually be top 3. So it's a little tricky, and I need them to win here. Now looking at this would give Cloud9 1, so I'd be correct there. And then there's this 4-way unresolved tiebreaker with these 4 teams, which means Energy could be second, TL could be third, FlyQuest could be fourth. Don't worry about Shopify because it's close. This is something that could happen, and I still could be right.
We're watching Jet do Olympics to make sure that he's right.
It's possible. It's possible. If you want to join the conversation, let us know which line on the foldy sheet you want to see. Just so you know, every single one of these lines is actually numbered with a scenario number.
Yep.
There it is.
Spam a number.
Yeah, this doesn't work.
Get the zoom
It's
in.
online. Also, Discord, you'll be able to find a link to the foldy sheet there and chat. It's a really good community we have over there. We'll keep an eye on all the scenarios throughout the day, with our first game being between Immortals and Cloud9. We'll chat about that matchup soon. But first, check out some content that we shot with Immortals earlier in the season.
Hello and welcome back to Pixel Perfect. I'm joined by Olleh and Armao. You guys just beat Shopify Rebellion, so we're going to test your memory to see how well you can recall the game that you just played. If one of you is not able to guess it on your turn, your teammate gets a chance to steal the points from you. Any questions before we get started?
We good.
Perfect. All right, Armao, we've decided that you're going to go first, so you can pick any category on the board.
I guess I'll start with 16, yeah.
What is happening in this instance in the game?
It's the Herald fight. Then I thought she got away, but she just E'd back, and she just died midair.
So walk me through what you're saying. So you sleep the Akali.
Yeah, I should be closer so I can get the true damage, or like the middle of the W. But I spaced a little bit too far back.
Armao does get the point, though, because he got the correct context of when that happened in the game. Olleh, that means we're going over to you.
1 minute, let's go. That's our gold, right?
You think that's your gold? Okay.
Yeah, I think I have a shoes plus 1 item, and then my carry, we have one core.
I'm going to say the track you're going down is incorrect. Armao, you have 5 seconds to steal.
We're invading their red.
No, it's the moment you cross 10K gold lead. It's right at the end of the game, but you did hit 10,000 gold lead. You were hovering around 9,000 for the whole time. It's gold lead on the broadcast. You were on the right track of gold.
I did not know they had that on the broadcast.
10K
You were winning by 10K. I know in the game you don't really notice that as players, right?
Why is jungle diff though? Support cap.
I'll also do the hard one.
Okay.
Okay, Armao's up next. We're going for another 1-bit right now. This one might be a little bit easier.
This is significantly easier.
But you still need to give me the context of what's happening in the game right here.
Most unfair completely, but I'll take the 3 points. We heralded mid, and then a team fight started. Well, the Akali did.
As we look here,
I'm
so
not
you
gonna
said
lie,
they flanked from the top
I was
side.
Nocturne ulted, so I probably did not even realize.
That's a good point, but
Yeah, to me,
you specified you were
just
flanked from the top.
appeared.
I don't know, what do we think? Do we give him the points? Olleh, should we give him the points? He got almost all of it
Can
right.
we split the points?
I'm hearing from production, we're going to give 2 to Olleh, 1 for Armao. It is tied right now between the two of you, so you have to go for it.
Yeah, I may as well.
Let's see it.
You actually know?
I guess.
I guess it is your champion. They invaded our red buff. We're retaking red buff. We kill only Rel, I believe.
I titled this one Olleh's Revenge.
because you were able to punish them here in the jungle.
Don't let them
Olleh,
take our red buff.
you keep going for these engages, man. A solid performance from you, so I want to give props. Well, Armao, you do technically win by points, but let's do the last one. Olleh.
This is so easy.
I'm here. John say, oh, we need to protect our raptors. So I just like going there, and then
They trapped
hey, they go.
Oh, it was Armao. You're throwing him under the bus.
I didn't think they'd be there that early.
No, I knew.
We got the 1 for 1.
Yeah, and then I just died for my team, and then Jayce got 1 kill.
I got
Yeah,
Dark
yeah,
Seal.
you traded 1 for
I have a
1.
Dark Seal stack.
Traded 1 for 1, but I'm happy that we're throwing Armao under the bus. But that is another point to Olleh. Armao, you do still walk away with the most points, so congratulations as well on your first win here in LCS. Armao, thanks so much for playing Pixel Perfect. We'll be back with more later in the split.
Hi everybody, it's Castle from Immortals Progressive. Today I'm gonna be guessing my teammate's baby photo. Huh? Is it Olleh? Joy? Ah! What? What's wrong with this baby?
100% Asian.
Alright,
Eddie.
Castle. Looks such like Castle. Little boy Castle.
The forehead is too big, Robert.
Yeah. Is that Joy? Really? John? Alex? Yeah, I'm missing someone. Robert? James? Holy, that is a stud.
Eddie with the rapid fire names. Again, we have 8 games left in the non-tiebreaker world of LCS regular season, so it's time to look back at the power rankings we made before the split. Now remember, these were projections of what we thought the regular season standings would look like after 6 weeks. So here's the power rankings versus the current standings. But as I just said before those Immortals videos, a lot could still change. It's still technically possible for Cloud9 to move into first, for Energy to move into second, just highly unlikely.
Oh my God, yeah, impossible. And like the way we put 100 Thieves, by the way, consistently in 6th or 7th.
Yeah, so it is confirmed, I believe that, well, it's close to confirmed that no one can be right about 100 Thieves.
Yeah, that part's
There's a
gonna be
chance they
impossible.
could fall
I
the
feel
fifth.
like Kobe can.
Yeah, they could fall the 5th.
Because like you were
They actually could.
saying-
No, in my 4-way tiebreaker scenario, they could fall the 5th.
Yeah. So like this is still possible.
Yeah.
But I think it's clear that we got 100 Thieves wrong the most
Yeah, don't look at my Shopify
as a
Rebellion
unit.
Oh no, Kobe actually has a chance of being 8 for 8. That would be the first time
Yeah, wow,
anyone
Rez,
had
you
ever
were
done
really high on Shopify.
one. Yeah, it was.
When
Not
I
looking
came
for
into
me
the
on that
split, I was actually really high on FlyQuest, but there was a caveat for me. It was like, oh, well, you know, Masu Busio is going to be interesting. So it's curious that, you know, we see them at the 3-4 spots for a lot of members, and here we are in the split, already gone. FlyQuest surging.
A lot of TL believers too.
The one that hit a lot of us, of course, is NRG. Now, NRG for sure couldn't perform better throughout the rest of this weekend.
Yeah.
But the full expectation was that they would come in off the high of their championship victory, with them keeping the same roster outside, of course, bringing in Huhi. We saw that as an upgrade, but of course, like they have had a lot more issues than we would have expected.
And for me, it was the change in the coaching staff and all the behind the scenes, right? I think that we all saw that coming in the year. It's like, okay, what will be different with this roster? What will be different this year? And we have seen some differences in that regard, and especially in the draft prep and things like that.
Yeah, and a note for fans, Dokla was very ill yesterday, was able to play through it. I imagine he's not going to be 100% today, so it's definitely a challenge that Energy's going to have to work through this week.
It's funny, with
they
how
look
much
towards
of fraud talk about 100 Thieves, we're the frauds.
Yeah.
Fraud stamp.
I mean, I think it's going to be a really hot topic of conversation whenever 100 Thieves gets seeded into the playoffs, who ends up being favored in those series. Because we know there's a very real chance they're going to be the #1 seed. But I still don't necessarily know if that reputation is caught up based on what happens in scrims and based on the win quality. Like they eke out a lot of wins.
Yes.
But I do want to move on to the teams we have on stage with Immortals versus C9. And it's an interesting place right now that Immortals is in as we see Cloud9 arriving, because Cloud9 is playing against an eliminated team.
Yeah.
And there's a big chance that they could definitely have a little bit of a letdown game since they've been on this 3-game win streak since the break. And let's talk about Blaber and some of the adjustments they've made during the break.
I am specifically wanting to see, I think a lot of the cohesion between Blaber and JoJo comes to mind now that his year's gone. I was talking with Cubby, an NACL caster, saying along the lines of, you know, the Azir really melded their 2 champion pools together, and we'll see, you know, continuation of evolving from that.
And this quote in particular for Blaber is talking about how their team identity is what they really ironed out when they were going through the break. They were the team for sure that needed the break the most. There was the whole expectation of them being the super team, of course, them falling flat with like 4 or 5 losses in a row. So them coming off the break, they had immediately, they're playing towards top lane a lot more. And so with how Fudge has been playing well before the break, now they're starting to capitalize on it.
Yeah, I think there are 2 big differences. One is top lane, as you mentioned. We kind of talked about how a lot of iterations with C9 and Blaber and Fudge working together specifically have worked out due to their synergy going towards topside. But then also VULCAN, obviously, this is a little bit ruined by yesterday. But I do like VULCAN on engaged champs a lot. As we pull up his kind of champ pool before and after break, obviously, again, we saw him bringing out the Nami yesterday, but before that, it was actually just Nautilus. And this is not to say that VULCAN can't play enchanters, because I feel like whenever you put a graphic like this, people are like, you're saying he can't play this. That is not true. But what I do like about VULCAN is his understanding of a lot of roam timers he can grab, going to mid, going to topside if he wants to as well, especially with some of the lane swaps we occasionally see towards grubs. And I really like seeing that from VULCAN. I love when he is out on the map making plays with his lanes.
It 100%. Just looks that much more fluid.
Agreed completely. And I think that's a point that we made about VULCAN. I will go back to talking about Fudge just a little bit, because while, you know, the community's been on him, especially during the break, and even though the laning stats were quite good from Fudge, we didn't really get to see them play towards him, or him be able to translate that outside of lane. Of course, now they are playing towards him in the Renekton game, and it was a bit of a bully towards Bwipo in that game in particular. And so I like this. This actually reminded me of how C9 oftentimes played before this split. So yes, the Croc is back.
It feels like the meta is really leaning into Fudge's favor here as well. It just seems like everything's falling to place for the style that he likes to play up there.
This kill was hilarious because he didn't know how this kill happened, but it definitely was gifted to him.
It was.
It was definitely gifted to him, and he got 3 kills early in this game. And so, like, I just think that they're on the same page now. If you end up seeing the Ashley Kang interview that dropped just yesterday, of course, even Berserker was talking about how, you know, before the break, they were like having long conversations without really knowing how they still want, like, a definitive answer how they wanted to play the game out. And now that has not been the case.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about Fudge in top as well, we saw 2 really good examples of different ways that you can play out top, right? Because Nidalee Renekton, I, again, have been really outspoken about how much I did love that draft for C9 coming out last week with a Senna comp. But then Udyr is kind of a different way of carrying, but all the way back in the first few weeks, we were talking about how Fudge has such a great understanding of the way that Udyr takes over topside with minion management, with the dirty farming you can do on him, and just constantly pushing the wave up. So his understanding of that as well, I think, is something that C9 can also make the most of.
And I think Cloud9 has looked much better since the break, but a disappointing team since the break has been Immortals. And I think there's a little bit of nuance here, because they have been in some what felt to be winning positions. This Shopify game was, I believe, from week 5. And then more importantly, I'd say the game they had yesterday, it definitely looked like they were in a big position to win against 100 Thieves, 3,500 gold up at 20 minutes before falling behind at the end. And I think pressure could definitely be a part of this, knowing that you don't want to finish bottom 2 once again. This is now 5 splits in a row that Immortals has finished in the bottom 2 of the LCS. But we see this all the time when teams get officially eliminated. The pressure is removed. And then they stop second-guessing their decisions. And I think a lot of times they actually play a lot better. So if I had to circle an upset for Immortals, it would actually be this game.
And it's really interesting because another thing we talk a lot about Immortals, and not just us, but other teams have said this, right? In watching their scrims, they're like, they're so good in scrims. Like, they bully a lot of teams that you would not expect them to bully in scrims specifically. And usually when it's that disparate between stage performance and scrims, there's some sort of mental block going on. Perhaps the NA special is getting eliminated and then playing really well in the game afterwards. So we could see some of that coming out of IMT today.
That's the tricky nature of it, right? every time, I'm even seeing it in the chat, people are like, free win for Cloud9. There's no way.
IMT won last time.
But that's well, yes, but
IMT's got the season series 1-0.
I'm
just saying. 32% of Immortals wins are against Cloud9.
But when a team just feels free, or it happened to, and we have some of the EU chatters in here, when it happened to K-Corp, like they were out of the last split and suddenly they're just taking wins, and the Cabo Shard is the second coming with Olaf. So like losing that pressure will happen. It's just a thing that you have to be aware of.
And for that, I particularly look at bot lane. I know this is where it kind of went down last time around in the first round robin, but the Ezreal Bard was very curious to me, trying to play a little bit off that bot lane duo. Trying to do that again with Tactical and Olleh. It's got to be important today.
Okay, let's check the predictions that we all have for today's games. As much as we just talked up Immortals, I doubt any of us were brave enough to say they win game 1. Discord's over 90% on Cloud9.
Wow. Yeah.
And the only place we have a little bit of disagreement today is going to be down with Shopify and 100 Thieves. I'm just hoping that the law of averages prevail because my 100 Thieves predictions have been terrible. And the worst thing you can do is like, you know how they say buy low, sell high?
Yeah.
I don't want to buy high. So I'm selling high with 100 Thieves and hoping that it goes. Mazel's going to have to run up to the stage to cast game 1. Looking forward to that.
Okay.
But that's it for us from the lounge. We have a fun piece of content with Emily and Raz before we get into game 1.
Etymology. This is my favorite time.
Attention, all passengers. Thank you for flying with us all the way from LEC and CBLOL. We will be landing shortly at our final destination, the LCS. If you look to your left, you'll see the LCS studio in Santa Monica, and if you look to your right, you'll see that there is no gaping hole on the side of the airplane.
As a friendly reminder, patches are live at the LCS, so gameplay is constantly changing. We recommend checking patch notes to stay up to date.
Teams are fighting for playoff positions, so please make sure all devices are on airplane mode and do not check the score at any time. I do not want to get spoiled. Lastly, if there are any questions about the LCS at all, and I mean anything, especially best of threes, please contact Commissioner Mark Z. His number is here.
LCS Airlines is committed to getting you on the ground and in-game as fast as we can. And don't worry, all of our wheels are intact. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the remainder of our flight. We'll be landing at 16:47 local time in Los Angeles.
All right, let's land this bad boy. Oddly, we have not moved at all.
It's a little concerning.
We're experiencing some slight engine failure.
Unlucky.
Welcome back to the final week of the LCS regular season. First up, Berserker and C9 are back and try to stay undefeated since the break, while IMT, they try to play spoiler and start a new slide for the super team. Now in game number 2, we'll have FlyQuest trying to right the ship versus NRG, and it's a rumble in the jungle as reigning champion Contracts takes on Inspired, who wants to add another MVP trophy to his case. Team Liquid got the upset win over FlyQuest yesterday, and they want to keep that momentum going against XU and Dignitas in a battle for playoff seeding. Finally, after taking down the reigning champions yesterday, Shopify Rebellion have to take down 100 Thieves. That's a lot of Thieves today to end the season strong. While the Thieves look to prove the doubters wrong and fight for the first place in the standings. Welcome all, and I'm super happy to be joined with Azael here, and we're going to have a lot of fun, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's good to have you back here at the LCS once again. I got to cast with you last time as well, if I recall correctly.
I was with Kobe last time.
Oh,
I haven't gotten to get with you this
You're
time.
the only person that I didn't get to cast with. Because every time someone new comes in, I always get to cast them. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Big fan of your casting. We got Cloud9 versus Immortals. Should be a good one. Cloud9 obviously looking very hot after the break. Are starting a little bit of a win streak here and looking to continue that.
I love the immediate focus from Cloud9. They remember IMT taking them down in the first round robin, and they remember Armao's Ivern. They do not want to see that one again. The Kalista also banned, likely candidate here in our meta now, as well as the Nautilus, Lucian, and Varus banned by IMT on the blue side.
Yep. Definitely one of those pocket picks for Armao. The Ivern, he is well known for it. It's something that he's very good on in scrims as well. So going to be giving respect over to that. Despite the fact that Immortals, aren't actually picking up a lot of wins on stage. They are on a bit of a losing streak here, unfortunately. They have still been doing very well in scrims. So a lot of teams still have respect for the players, respect for the team, and know that when they are playing their best, they definitely can take teams down. We've also seen them in a lot of winning positions. They just haven't been able to close out some of these games, including yesterday where Tactical was in a really good spot on this area. They did get ahead. They just couldn't close it out. So Immortals, while they aren't going to be making playoffs, they definitely want to kind of right the ship as much as they can and end the season on a high note.
That's the biggest thing is scrim buffs can be as many as you want, but what do they actually add up to? You've got to find ways to turn it into actual wins on stage. IMT could play spoiler once again to Cloud9, a would-be super team who had expectations hit high for them to start the season, and we're starting to get those expectations up and running again on this streak. Now, we did have that first pick, Jayce, locked in for IMT. The Senna, though, also locked in for C9.
Yeah, a little bit surprising to see, Senna not grabbed as one of those first picks. There is a potential because Smolder actually wasn't banned also, which is another kind of shocker to me because this is not the hot pick Smolder. It is the super, super strong version. So with Senna going over to C9, we might be seeing Senna Nautilus as we've been seeing a lot of these last couple weeks. But Immortals also have the option to grab the Smolder themselves, look towards that. Tactical, definitely good on those late game hyper carries. That is one of the ways that Immortals have picked up some of their wins, have been a threat in these games. So we'll see if they're going to be looking towards it.
I know across the world there's a lot of conversation of it tells which region you watch the most if you think Senna or Smolder wins. It's not going to be even a conversation yet because Ziggs locked in for Immortals.
Yeah, this is very heavy poke already on the 1-2 here for Immortals. Jayce, Ziggs, and now you have to wonder, do they want to go towards still something like that Smolder? Do they want to go even more heavy into the poke? I do think when you do have Ziggs, that buys a lot of time with the wave clear as well, maybe allow you to get towards those stacks that you would like to grab. It is going to be Vi, though, here, as Armao going to be grabbing an aggressive jungler. Does give them some of that hard engage.
And it also gives you a little bit of skirmishing power into Blaber if you can find those early level moves. But it's also the single target lockdown that you're really looking to tie up all of that long range to. And I think for Cloud9 going to the last of the first phase here, finding some stability in the tops. Okay, well, they just go ahead and do what I was asking for. They get the Ornn.
Well, this is actually pretty interesting because this hasn't been one of the common picks, this split at all in the LCS. It's actually the first game of Ornn for Fudge. I had to double check on that, but it was the first game of Ornn here coming in. Yes, he's played some tanks, with the Udyr. He has one game of Cassante, but he's been playing a lot more of these bruisers, a lot more of these carry-style champions for Cloud9, and his laning has been a big part of his success with the team this split. So it is going to be Fudge on that Ornn, and we'll have to see where this goes. Of course, there is a slight chance of some of these things getting flexed around a bot. I have seen some people experimenting with different tanks in the bot lane alongside that Senna, but I am thinking it's going to be top, and we're not going to do anything too crazy.
We're far cry from the Tom Kench meta, I feel like, but we're not all the way to the
like Harriet, maybe it's Senna Lee Sin down in the bot lane.
True. Hey, got to see what kind of spice we're going to be getting here. But I think a conversation we talked about on the desk was kind of the meta fitting for Fudge. This one maybe a little bit, but yeah, the Malphite ban.
So confused by the Malphite ban.
The Leona ban as well. I like that actually taken away. Just that forward frontal engage for Olleh.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. But I'm just trying to think, what are they concerned about? With this Malphite here. Obviously, it's a good matchup in the Jayce, but the Ornn has already been locked. So Immortals are clearly seriously considering that the Ornn is a flex, that the Ornn is, going to be going mid or bot. It's not actually going to be playing top. Because Malphite was, especially Comet Malphite, was one of those kind of classic matchups that people picked into the Jayce, and especially when it is another AD jungler like the Vi, it could be strong.
Yeah.
But just definitely did not expect that with the Ornn already locked in. I wouldn't have thought Immortals would seriously consider the Ornn getting flexed.
I appreciate the Ahri sneaking in there as the final ban too. Something we've
nod
seen
to JoJo.
right in a lot of priority here as well across the world, but as well just giving a lot of onus to JoJo himself. The Aatrox is locked in right now as well, so that flexibility, it's there.
Yeah, it is interesting, you know, because generally when you think about, you know, some of these aggressive picks, you think about JoJo being able to play them. So it is going to be Aatrox coming in. So now the question is this actually going to be Ornn bot, farming Ornn bot? I think it's more likely than seeing it be a mid, because I don't think we're going to see mid Ornn, and I think the Aatrox is almost for sure going to be going top. It is going to be Bard here for Olleh, and it's Ziggs bot, I think, for Tactical. I think it's going to be Taliyah mid. So they are really cooking with this draft. Things are getting flexed around like crazy, and it should be Ornn bot. I said it almost as a bit of a just like, oh, haha, you have to consider it. I didn't think they would actually do it. If Akali gets locked, it should be Akali mid. It should be the Aatrox top. And it should be Ornn Senna bot lane here, replacing that Nautilus with another one of the tanks, which would be very fun for me to see, because this is something I've been wanting for a while. Cho'Gath is one of the ones that had some popularity around the world a while ago. Even there was some pros a couple years back that were experimenting with Senna Mundo and some of these other farming tanks that can work quite well. So we're going to see VULCAN on the Ornn. We'll see how this does. It is going to be against that Bard Ziggs bot lane. And the question is, can they harass, can they punish this Ornn enough to really deny a lot of that farm? Or will they be able to stabilize? Will they be able to be that kind of brick wall that they're looking to be here? As Cloud9, they've got 4 melee and a Senna. They are a very kind of mid-game, skirmish-focused team. When I look over at what they have on the other side, if you're getting to later stages and you're on even keel, it's going to be tough to deal with the Taliyah, with the Ziggs, trying to hard engage with 4 melee champions into a Taliyah who potentially has like Rylai's Leandries and these things that are getting slowed down, and there's the Ziggs mines and all of these different things that are going to disrupt you. I actually really like what Immortals cooked up, and this is, I think, one of the most interesting drafts we've had all year in the LCS.
I love it too, because it's a shade of what IMT did to take down Cloud9 in the first round robin. They had the Ezreal Bard, a lot of poking, a lot of prodding available there. Now the Ziggs Bard, but Olleh, he was a massive factor the last time around. The Tempered Fates were so clutch. It's so good, and they're going to have to show up today as well. Cloud9, they might be cooking, but they're trying to cook up a 5-0 finish to their regular season.
Yeah, both these teams really cooking in the draft. We have to see, you know, which team has that Michelin star dish and which team cooked up some garbage, because one of these teams is going to be taking the L.
Just want to make sure we got fire alarms, everything good, batteries are in, there's no beeping. We're still fine, we're still fine, but we're getting into game number 1. Let's hear that crowd get wild, because we're kicking off this Saturday here, the LCS. It's Immortals versus Cloud9.
It's going to be a fun one. Also some interesting runes. My eyes are immediately drawn to Armao with the Hail of Blades. Is going to be playing, you know, very aggressive style with that. And I'm also curious, okay, so it is going to be, as soon as I saw Olleh go top, obviously he's getting that lane ward, which is really important in these melee versus rain matchups. But it's also worth noting, Olleh is also going to start W. So he's going to start the Caretaker Shrine that is that additional heal. Each one, when it's fully charged, you know, is 50 health. And you can drop a couple of them. So he drops 1 top, he drops 2 mid. That is essentially, you know, an extra charge of like a refillable potion. Obviously, a regular potion is going to be more health than just the 2, but still, that is a significant amount of extra health there. So a lot of times what you'll see with this strategy is they'll drop those shrines in their solo lanes. You'll see their solo laners trade heavily at level 1, level 2, and then just jump back and kind of use those shrines as a free potion so that then Olleh can start dropping them down in bot lane. And I think it's a really smart strategy, because generally speaking, you're not going to be able to pressure at level 1 as a bard anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not really that big of a hit here, as JoJo going to walk in and get that ward on Armao, and now they have full info.
I like seeing some at least movement of the vision here, but specifically also the Taliyah is something that has seen a lot of rise in bans since the Azir has been disabled. Obviously the matchup, and that's a very interesting one in its own right, but I'm very curious how Mass can use this pick to kind of get out of lane. As you see, first LCS Ornn support since Olleh did it in 2019 spring.
And I have to ask the question, is it an Ornn support? Because he's the one farming, right? So
it's an Ornn carry, baby.
I would actually say it's a bot lane Ornn. You know, it is more that Ornn carry, because it is going to be the fasting Senna with the support item. And it will be a really interesting one. And Taliyah, yeah, gaining a lot of popularity, gaining a lot of priority. You can see already one of those shrines going to be grabbed up there by Mask. But this is an incredible Taliyah game. Just look at the other team, count the dashes. There's 4, right?
Yeah.
There are 4 there. Even more because some of them have multiple dashes, but at least 4 of those that are going to be very difficult to deal with. So we'll see, how they're going to be able to perform. Also, Tactical playing this Ziggs, that's a big question because this is obviously a pretty big departure from the style that he normally is playing when Immortals do pick up wins.
Yeah, and I think zooming out a little bit for Cloud9, this was a season that should have been absolute success for them. They have brought a ton of the biggest pieces of the LCS together, and we hadn't seen that start off. Now, this last little bit definitely going well for them, so we'll see if they continue that. JoJo maybe not going so well in the mid lane as Matt's taking some heavy trades onto him.
Yeah, and that can be the struggle of these range versus melee matchups. We saw JoJo doing it just yesterday, though, on the Olleh. You're in these matchups. You have to take that punishment. You go D-Shield. Very likely he's playing second win secondary. Almost always you're going to see that. He's also fleet as well. And it's just about, can you actually survive the early game here? He is second win, of course.
Yeah.
So really just going towards as many of those survival runes as possible.
And one thing I've noticed as well when we're looking at Cloud9's composition, they have a lot of entrances, Fudge on a backline, a flank in particular, but really the only long distance engage they have is going to be VULCAN on the Ornn.
Yeah, it is going to be him on the Ornn. Of course, Blaber can look for those plays. We can see potential flanks coming from JoJo and Fudge. It's going to be about those multi-prong attacks, very likely. Especially when you are playing this 4 melee comp, you do not want to run straight at a Ziggs and Taliyah. It's just not going to work. You're going to be getting poked out and chipped down so heavily. But something else we have to talk about here is Berserker and his performance. This is a guy, as we're going to see some trading up on top, who has not been performing poorly by any means, but has also not been dominating like we kind of expected from him, right? This is last summer versus this split in spring. He has been known for so long as, by a lot of pros, they'll just tell you straight up, he's not just the best ADC. They would just say he's just the best player in the league. And I don't think he's really performed to that level. There can be a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, changes in the style of the team. You bring in JoJo as a big carry mid. Maybe you're playing more around him. The meta has been something that has maybe not fit him as well, as there's been a lot of Varus and things like that instead of this area and whatnot. But it's been a cause for concern potentially here for Cloud9, as Berserker hasn't been that huge reliable carry.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. When you come in and you make such a big splash like he did, where he's mechanically outperforming a ton of the ADCs in the league, that consistency, staying power of that, and that big splash is not always there. You really have to take it up another notch, and Berserker's trying to make that way here, but that's what best performances for playoffs are saved for.
There you go, right? And you can kind of regain that position very quickly with some good performances. Blaber was spotted walking into the river. He's not spotted, obviously, by the Scuttle Crab there, so is going to be able to at least sneak one away, but they should have an idea of what he's doing, and Castle's going to confirm it.
So what do you think about the Telegrubbies here? Are you a big fan of the episode 1 of the Telegrubbies going each way?
It's looking pretty good. Definitely going to be happy to grab one, at least for Blaber. Make sure you can take one out of each of the set of 3. You deny the Void might spawn. On the other side, Armao just soloing up this dragon, trying to push that down, and now Tactical and Olleh are going to move over and try to zone out VULCAN. We'll see if they can do it.
Oh, that was a nice little buffer there as well. They were trying to use some of that priority on bottom side, but ends up being VULCAN and Berserker taking prio instead, and Dragon handed over to Cloud9.
Yeah, well done there. Cloud9 fight their way in. Blaber moves straight down after he's pushed off the grubs. Berserker and VULCAN move over. Gonna be able to pick up a couple souls off the back of that as well. So Cloud9 feeling comfortable in the early game. And it's just an interesting game to really kind of try to read, because the compositions are very atypical.
Yeah.
On paper, I want to say that Immortals should have the scaling advantage. I do think that their comp is going to be really tricky for Cloud9 to deal with. But at the same time, if Cloud9 can execute well and come from multiple angles and not get chipped out, there's a lot of squishy people over on the IMT side.
Yeah.
So a bad fight for Immortals is going to look really, really bad. If Lee Sin and Aatrox and this Akali all get into the back line, and all of a sudden there's a Dawning Shadow over the top from the Senna, well, everyone just can kind of go pop. Like, there's not a bad target here. You hit anyone and they can die.
And that's the kind of double-edged sword that IMT are playing with this time around. Speaking of double-edged swords, JoJo, just trading with that health bar as you do, but the biggest focus for me in mid lane is that we have hit those level 6s. I want to see Mask be proactive with the Weaver's Wall, because the faster you can get on the map, the faster this cohesion between him and Armao can be unlocked.
Yep, and that's one of the things that makes having mid lane prio as well on this Taliyah so important. He is in this mid lane matchup against a melee champion there for JoJo, and has been pushing him in. Something you touched on earlier, though, was the importance of VULCAN in this comp. He is that primary engage. And that's something that people have been kind of touching on. VULCAN on Engage versus VULCAN on Enchanters. And since being back after the break, he's been playing a lot of Nautilus and has been winning a lot on Nautilus. This is the playstyle that people most associate VULCAN with throughout his career when he's been winning championships with other teams. Now, thinking to how he is as a player, he's very proactive, he likes to be aggressive, he wants to be the one to start up the fights. And that's one of the major changes that Cloud9 did make over the 2-week break, was this adjustment in playstyle. We're going to have Blaber more unlocked to play carries. We're going to be putting VULCAN back on these engaged champions, even if they believe, hey, maybe it's not the best thing in the meta. This is what's best for our team. And I think playing to comfort and playing to your own personal style and what you excel at is sometimes a lot more important than just kind of, you know, mimicking what other teams are doing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that's where it's an interesting duality, because when you think about the engages for VULCAN, it's really big. But also when Emily was talking about on desk, the roams, just being out on timers is so important for VULCAN to have that success and that proactivity. But on the Ornn, the farming, definitely going to keep him down in the bot lane. So it's going to be a little bit later that we see that activity from VULCAN.
The farm, very even, honestly, everywhere except in the top lane, where Castle has been doing really well against Fudge on the Jayce here. Mid lane, dead even. Bot lane, you know, pretty well dead even. Just a couple CS in the advantage of VULCAN there. And JoJo has done a really good job, I think, just surviving the onslaught in the mid lane. And if you can survive through these early levels, you can generally kind of get to a point where you're starting to be a bit more comfortable. Does have to shuriken flip through the rocks, but dodges the flip, so obviously well worth it, as Olleh is sharking around mid lane, see if you can find any sort of action here. Because once you're past those early levels as well, Ornn just becomes a bit of a brick wall. I don't think that there's any realistic chance of kind of just poking him out constantly. Yeah. So now Olleh just wants to get active on the map and see what he can get done.
And that's important. They play with a lot of vision around the top side of the map, and they're doing so right now as well. They gonna have a pretty heavy trade on the mask here as Berserker's gonna show up. The rest of IMT are here too. Cease and desist goes in. He misses the ulti over the wall. The perfect execution, but it's first blood for IMT. Traded right back though to Blaber, and both junglers coming away 1 for 1.
Yeah, 1 for 1 at the end of the day. It is first blood though for Immortals. They get the kill on a JoJo. Everyone around mid lane there, supports and junglers do show up. The faster engage though with the Vi, gets them in on JoJo, locks him down. He didn't have his Shroud available because he had used it in the earlier trading pattern. So they find him, they burst him down, they get the kill. As Blaber with a nice little sidestep there on the binding from Olleh. Will get the crab and get out, but we can watch this one more time. JoJo just trying to soften them up, and we can see on the mini-map, you know, all these pings. Olleh is coming down, Armao is coming down. Both teams are trying to set up for the first play, but the Vi just gives them that faster go button. The one turret shot as well there from JoJo, not quite enough damage to be able to finish him off. And then JoJo, as you said, didn't quite have the angle on the R2 there. I think he tried to go too kind of horizontal instead of just going straight over the wall. Yeah. Ends up getting caught, ends up getting burst down there. But it is the trade back, and gold very, very even across the board. It's really anyone's game.
And the beauty of it is we had the really succinct timers of the objectives in the first round. So now we have the episode 2 of Telegrubbies, as well as another dragon coming up, and want to see where that focus for both teams are, especially with how much prevalence we have now in mid lane from C9.
Yeah, I think C9 at the very least, you want to just try to get one more grub. You want to deny the Void Might spawn. It's always what you're trying to look for. At the very least, don't let them get 5. That's where it can get pretty annoying, getting those additional spawns. We can see the opportunity rush here for Castle. This is getting a lot more popular. This item very strong, especially on poke champs, where you're not constantly trading or not constantly in the mix. You'll have that passive ready with the bonus lethality. That is going to be quite nice for his poke. And Blaber here on spawn for the grubs. We'll see if Immortals are coming up to fight. It looks like they want to, but Blaber could just take one and go over the wall. This is kind of exactly what I'm talking about. But Taliyah is in the area.
Okay, so Blaber did get one, but he'll go down immediately afterwards. I don't know if that was worth it, but at least you deny the grubs.
1 for 1. Grub for a Blaber.
Grub for a Blaber, you know, same thing. We're not going to talk about scuttle crabs. We're going to talk about grubs now.
Exactly. Well, 5 grubs denied. Mission accomplished. Whether or not it was worth it, well, that remains to be seen, but it is going to be at least the denial there. Does unfortunately get caught. Good collapse there from Immortals, but no one's starting up the dragon just yet. You can see in the bot lane on the minimap, you can see JoJo is actually waiting in the brush. I think he's trying to wait for the cooldowns to be used there for Mask, and he uses them.
Oh, he wants it. He wants that 1v1 with the Weaver's Wall used in Mask's escape. So at least Olleh is going to come down here to try to cover Mask.
Yeah, nice little attempt there from JoJo. Just spotted them on the minimap, and in those cases, you're almost always just waiting for their abilities to be on cooldown. As soon as you use the seismic shove, that's the go button. You're going to be going in. And now a TP down here from Mask. He's going to come right back. But it is just going to be to cover the wave, not going to be anything too much.
They want to try to get some presence around this dragon pit as well. Armao's already in there, but VULCAN's going to force him out potentially. Armao's just going to start it up anyways. IMT moving up from the bot side. Cloud9 a bit desynced on if they want to contest for this one, but it's going to take a while to burn down with these combos. We got a TP now coming in from Fudge. Yeah, he's going to come try to join the party. So is Castle. It looks like we're going to get a 5v5 here. Ornn has been sounded. Armao, he can't get it. Blaber's the one that steals it away. You got to be careful on the backside of this one because Fudge had an angle. Blaber's all by himself though, and he's all alone against Castle. He just gets soloed out again.
Castle takes him down, but Blaber does get the dragon. It went to 1 HP. I think after both smites had been used, and it looked like it was either an auto or an E that does take it from Blaber. So ridiculously close there. Frustrating moment for Armao, as that's now 2 dragons in a row there for Cloud9, which is going to feel pretty good. And we can watch this one more time. Olleh fishing with the Bartle was very close, but it wasn't perfectly placed. It was just on the edge there for Berserker, so it doesn't force the flash, just a nice sidestep. And then in comes the ulti from VULCAN. The Dawning Shadow over the top, 1482. Let's see, where does the first smite to? Oh my god, wow. 1 HP. Yeah, so literally 1 HP. And then Blaber just punches that thing. Yeah, thanks for the leash. He'll take it. It looks
the
like
Spider-Man meme. It's like, oh, who's gonna smite it? Oh my goodness, what a way to start off this one as well. Both junglers kind of going at it, but a lot of objective control now controlled for Cloud9. We'll see them moving back on the map, though, because we have a Rift Herald that's going to be spawning soon, and see if they want to take priority in that, where some of that mid-game action can really start working out for IMT.
So what do you think? You know, is that a jungle diff smite, or is that you just got lucky? What do you think, chat? Jungle diff on that dragon take?
I'd say if you're giving it to him, you give it to him. All right, one.
So is that redemption now for the mishap?
I would say yes.
With the grubs? Okay.
It's the little things. It's the little things. We do see, though, full turret play control by IMT as they will continue to use that pressure to take this Rift Herald.
Yep, going to be starting up the Rift Herald. Immortals doing a pretty good job. Do have a gold lead here, 1.3k up. Again, Castle has been doing a lot of work. He's gotten 2 kills. He's taken a lot of plates up in top side, and he has been pushing Fudge in constantly. So he's in a good spot. They have a tremendous amount of poke, and it's just going to be so much about the setups for the fight. Can Ziggs, can Jayce poke you out prior to the fight? Do they deny your opportunity? Chat looks like it's pretty split on Jungle Diff versus Lucky.
we'll
you can spot the Cloud9 versus the Immortals fans.
Absolutely.
All the Cloud9 fans like Jungle Diff for sure.
For Jungle Diff, yeah, absolutely.
It's all skill, baby.
Hey, that's all that matters.
Unless it gets stolen from you, and then it's just luck.
Yeah, it just
if it's stolen from you, it's luck. If you're the one who steals it, it's Jungle Diff.
That's results-based analysis. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Now that we have first items really coming up for a majority of members, I think the skirmishing between Blaber and Armao can kick up. The Sundered Skies, obviously, this season have been so monumental in that early skirmish pathing, but we're already getting to the mid-game, and we're already getting to a point where we haven't necessarily seen that combination of Armao and Mask yet that we were trying to see the Weaver's Wall used proactively with.
Yeah, haven't really been able to get on the map too much as Mask. You know, hasn't been able to find too many of those plays, but of course, you know, there is still a really good combo with the Cease and Desist coming in, the Seismic Shove, so you're always going to have that combo throughout the game. There are a lot of good targets over on the C9 side. Priority 1 going to be Berserker, of course, but we will see, you know, if they're going to be able to find that. Olleh, again, not going to find it. He had vision of him briefly as he walked down, but
they even brought the Weaver's Wall over.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So as he walked down towards the Tri-Brush, they spotted him, and they had a ward above, but he didn't have full vision on him, so I think he was trying to anticipate where he was going to walk. Does look for it over the wall, doesn't catch him this time, and Berserker is shadowing Fudge. Knows that a dive could be coming this way. Blaber's coming down as well, so Fudge should be okay, but the pressure is just continuing in the side lane as Castle has dominance against Fudge right now, but Cloud9 know, as long as we don't get dove, Akali's killing top lane, and Akali rushed to Lich Bane, so you're going to be able to work through that tower reasonably fast. They just have to be able to defend their tier 2, because Herald is going to get dropped, this tier 1 is going to be gone, no problem. As long as they can defend the tier 2, they should be fine, but it is going to be JoJo just backing off, and clearly Cloud9 want to try to prepare for a fight.
Well, seeing if anybody's getting their driver's license out here, but apparently nobody wants to drive today. The charge does go through, so at least half health on a tier 2, and IMT come away with an almost 2.5k lead.
Yeah, looking pretty good. JoJo wasn't actually going to stay top lane to finish that off. Does elect to base. Wants to be setting up for this dragon, I think. 30 seconds on that dragon. We'll see if Cloud9 are going to be first to the scene. It's Immortals that have better vision in the dragon area right now. You can see a lot of their pink wards focused on the bot side of the map. If they can be first to the objective and Cloud9 have to walk through the Taliyah rocks and through the Hextech mines and all these different things, it's going to be very difficult for them. So I think that's why we saw the early base from Cloud9. That's why they're trying to set up right now, trying to reclaim vision here. JoJo is going to be top, but he has his TP available. And we'll see if they can get that angle for the third straight dragon. If they do, they are still looking towards that Soul win condition, especially because it's Ocean Soul versus a poke comp. That becomes incredibly hard for Immortals to deal with.
The priority of that just upticked a ton. See, if they had Ocean Soul, it wouldn't matter that much. But
got the Ocean Soul by 17 minutes.
Yeah,
what are they doing?
I guess. Dragon already started up, though. Already about quarter health down. IMT
JoJo on the flank.
Back and forth, deciding if they want to separate a little bit here. JoJo not moving down just yet. I feel like Cloud9 maybe giving up that position. Ornn comes through. They can find that distance, though. They do lock down Armao. But here comes another smite fight. It's going to be a 50-50 that Blaber wins all day long. As the dragon goes down, the fight continues. Olleh is getting caught out here. There's the cease and desist. Everything over top of it. And JoJo's all by himself.
Yeah, JoJo gets burst down, but Cloud9 do get it. They're going to continue with the Weaver's Wall.
Oh, Mass trying to make the hero play, but he's getting pounced on. He's going to flash over now, too. They've actually caught out VULCAN. The big engage is gone. Mass all by himself. Two mid laners. Name a better duo. Now Armao is trying to chase down Blaber, but that's not a fight you want any day.
Immortals going to be able to win out as far as the kills. They do extend the gold lead, but it is now sole point here for Cloud9. We'll see what else Immortals can get on the map. It looks like they're going to be moving quickly towards this tier 1. Tactical TP back. They should be able to knock this down, no problem. So going to extend that gold lead even further here. Cloud9, it's a great smite there from Blaber this time. Does nail it. Takes another objective away there from Armao. Definitely got to be frustrating for him as it's back-to-back 50-50s, and Blaber wins both of them. We can watch it one more time. The poke from the Jayce is just becoming relentless. Cloud9 don't have a great angle for the hard engage, so they send the Ornn ulti over the top. They're looking towards Armao. I think what Blaber wanted to do was go in, kick him away, then smite it. He queues onto him. Is going to be looking for the kick. Again, slightly early smite there for Armao, but hard to blame him. It was down to 137. Yeah. At that point, it really is just a flip because it's absolutely chaos. Everyone's trying to peel, everyone's trying to hit it. JoJo looks for the flank, gets locked down by the cease and desist. The buy ult comes through. They burst him down with tactical ult as well. And then as Mask looks for the re-engage, everyone from C9 is trying to pile in on him, but VULCAN's left to die. He goes down. They do get Mask, but Fudge gets taken out on the run as well.
Yeah. And it was just a long series of plays there to back in. And curious that Mask wanted to go back in for the re-engage, but IMT realizing they could try to get a pick apart there. Now, we did see a little bit of side lane action there. Speaking of side lane action, we got a little presence from Olleh and IMT on top side of the map. But that's where I want to go back to the conversation about Cloud9 a little bit more. They are a beast in waiting, it feels like. A beast of a team that has also a lot of scaling options in this game and some bridge builders to get them there. And yes, there's a pretty big lead for IMT. You always have to be careful of that fact.
Yeah, you do. You definitely have to be careful of the advantages that Immortals have accrued, but Cloud9 going to look for the engage.
They actually get the nice little move here on a castle. He's going to knock him away and get out of that one. Now Armao's face-to-face with an angry JoJo. And I think Olleh is going to back them off. So Cloud9, they are left wanting, but they are continuing to try things.
Yeah, they do look for the engage. They had them spotted out on that ward. Immortals wasn't aware of it. But while, Cloud9 obviously does have some scaling, they do have, the Senna that's going to be infinite scaling. They have the Ornn items that are going to come through. There's some good things there. I do think there's a lot of powerful scaling over on the Immortal side as well. And again, I think the difficulty is much higher for Cloud9 as far as how to find these fights, how to find those engages. You've got to find flanks. You've got to be really, really good about how you're setting up these fights, or you're just going to get poked out before the fight even happens. So much for Immortals hinges on just stopping this next dragon. If they can actually delay the Ocean Soul, deny it on this next dragon, make sure they get that, then they're going to be in a really good spot, I think. But for Cloud9, if they grab the Ocean Soul, all of a sudden, so much of the poke, so much of what Immortals comp is built around really does not matter anymore. Yeah. And that's where they're really going to start to struggle. But for now, they're just playing through Castle. This guy is monstrously strong, has the big shutdown that Cloud9 would like to grab, but he's going to push forward, take another tower. And he is very far ahead now in this 1v1, over 3,000 gold ahead in the isolated 1v1 from where Fudge is. So there's just no contesting Castle in this side lane right now.
And it was first pick, so, you know, a little confidence leading with that one.
Hey, it worked out.
It works out, you know, blue side first pick Jayce. And it just fits with the composition. Also, that ease of execution I love because literally Armao just needs to find a target and everybody needs to follow up Armao, and that makes it a lot easier to find. The next thing I'm looking at, though, is vision control. We have a dragon in a minute. That is that soul for Cloud9. I want to see IMT move down that way.
Yeah, Immortals are going to start to establish vision on that side of the map. Obviously, when you're the team that has no dragons, you don't have the luxury of being like, oh, well, we could threaten towards the Baron. You have to deny the soul. Cloud9 can obviously play opposite side of the map. If they feel like, hey, we don't have a good angle for this, they could just try to play for the tier 1 mid. They could try to play for the tier 2 top. They could try to claw back some of that gold. Because Cloud9 is in a spot where if they lose this fight and they lose it bad, they lose Dragon, they lose Baron, the game could really spiral out of control because they're already quite far behind. So they have got to be precise. But this is another game where Immortals has a significant lead, has a winning position. They have to be able to close them out, though. This would be the third time in a couple weeks here where they have been able to create these 5-6K gold advantages. They haven't been able to come away with a win yet, though.
Yeah, they really haven't. And those are heartbreaking to keep adding up to your pile here. IMT, they have the saving grace of having beat Cloud9 in the first round robin. They're going to try to do it again. They fight in over here, though. They find JoJo. The Dawning Shadow has come across to try to save him, but Armao's not letting him go. He does end up getting out with the dash. Now Castle's in. That's a little bit of trouble. Mask wants to find JoJo. The flash over, though, and he gets him in the end. Armao's getting low now, though. Castle is running away from Fudge and VULCAN, the two tanks of Cloud9. Blaber and Berserker are coming on the other side. VULCAN buying a lot of time, and they might get a ton of shutdowns here. Shutdown went straight to Blaber's pocket, but now IMT, they're refocused, they're refighting, and they're taking down Berserker. As Cloud9 only have 2 members left, Fudge and Blaber, you gotta run away. Olleh doesn't want to let you, though, as he's going down. That's a double kill for IMT's Mask.
Immortals are getting everything. They're taking the dragon on the other side of the map as well. Fudge gonna look for the turnaround.
Call it fate, call it destiny. IMT are murdering Cloud9.
6,000 gold lead. They deny the soul as well. They are just focusing JoJo so heavily, even though he reacted instantly with the Shroud. He died almost 100-0 in the Shroud just from the AoE damage coming through. And now Immortals straight out onto the Baron. We'll see if Cloud9 can do anything about it. Blaber's not up for a long time. It's looking like it's going to be their Baron. JoJo's heading down towards bot. Berserker maybe going to try to get some vision, but he's going to be able to do nothing about it. And this is the game really getting out of hand now for Cloud9.
A Red Bull Baron power play comes alive, and IMT do so as well. Almost 8,000 gold up. And we'll take a look back at that fight. It was a crazy one, and C9 were attempting something, but it didn't work out.
Well, again, it's just about so much the pressure they're putting on JoJo. The season assist comes through. The seismic shove is there guaranteed after. The Ziggs ult is over the top. JoJo is out of the fight before he can really contribute anything. And he is the strongest member right now. You're just looking at the levels alone on the other side. So they push him out. They focus him down. Berserker doesn't have enough damage to get through. Fudge is 3,000 gold behind in the individual advantage. And look at the satchel charge there from Tactical, interrupting the dash forward from Fudge. Tactical was really playing well in this critical fight. Olleh is untouched. He's chasing them down. He's harassing them. Immortals, they poke them down. They focus down that first target. They keep JoJo as a non-factor. And they have just really eliminated a lot of the threats here from Cloud9. There's just not enough gold in the pockets of the right members here for C9.
And a big thing that a little bit hindsight 2020 is the second item spike had been there for majority carries for IMT going into that fight, a little less so than Cloud9. So thinking about those spikes for IMT, it's working out for them.
Yep. And we also have to look at how Tactical, has been so good for this team in wins versus losses. When they're ahead, they're winning a lot more games. They're performing so much better. They had created that early advantage, and it is paying dividends. You can look how rich this Ziggs is now, significantly ahead of his counterpart on the other side. And look at the Jayce poke. That's 60% of the HP gone from Berserker.
And when you're ahead, this comp feels so ridiculously strong. You can't even sit under tower. Your tower is burned down so quickly because of the Ziggs, and you're just losing multiple waves of pressure.
I mean, this game is looking almost over here for Cloud9. It's going to take a series of miracles, it feels like, at this point, for them to be able to come back. This would be Immortals going 2-0 versus Cloud9 on the split. They were the ones that started the loss streak, it felt like, for Cloud9 last time around. And a little bit of deja vu here for Cloud9 as Blaber's going to look for an angle. We'll see if he can find the kick onto a key member.
He's got to find it. There he goes. He gets the kick back on a Mask, but the Tempered Fate buys time, and Blaber's just gone. on. IMT moving forward. They got some tanks to burn through, and Mask has already gone off the table too. Armao's stepping forward. He gets that shield from the Sterix, and he's back at it again. Cloud9 do some damage back.
Yeah, they get something, but again, look at the health bars. Look at the cooldown spent. What do you do now? You have no wave clear. So yes, they do get iterative kills, but they're still going to lose their mid lane inhibitor. There's no way you can defend that. Cloud9 is so ulti reliant, so hard engage reliant. They're 4 melee champs and a Senna who has horrible wave clear. So when you are behind, it is so impossible to play into what Immortals have crafted. I think it was such a creative draft from them, and they're really executing well. Castle's early laning made such a big difference for them, creating a massive advantage in that 1v1. Compositionally, they're playing it really well. They're focusing JoJo in these team fights. They're executing at a really high level here, and they're showing us the glimpses of this team that made people so excited earlier on in the split. So we can watch this one more time. Blaber knows you can't wave clear, so what do? You look for the hard engage. So finds the angle, ward hop kick into Mask, but Blaber is just insta-killed here on the other side. A great bard ulti from Olleh buys time, which allows Immortals to step forward. And sure, Mask does go down, but all the Immortals are firing on the other side. So Cloud9 can't continue the fight. We're back to live.
Oh, we ain't stopping just yet. Fudge dodging out there, almost goes down to the seismic shove, but IMT, they have one lane to focus on, and it's all bot lane. Blaber, he's looking for the flank of flanks, but he'll be spotted out completely.
Yeah, and he knows he's spotted. They all turn around immediately. Armao trying to get in range here to finish him off, and Blaber has got to run. But these are the kind of plays that you have to look for. When you're in these dire situations, you can't fight front to back against this comp, even at the best of times, really. So it's going to be about those hero plays, but supers are coming in top. Supers are coming in mid. Cloud9 have horrible wave clear. As soon as they go to answer those, Immortals can step forward. So really all Immortals have to do is wait for those super minions to stack up. There's 2 now that are going to be joining up in top lane. Wait for that to be pushed in mid, and then step forward, start to chip away at these towers, because Ziggs late game with a death cap, it's a couple autos and a satchel, and the tower's gone.
The craziest thing is yesterday it felt like all the air had been pressed out of IMT. They were trying to make that miracle run and then take that loss. But here, underdogs, nobody thought could take down Cloud9 for a second time in the same split, and they're here about to be on the cusp of it.
And this is something we see a lot, honestly, in pro gaming, is when the pressure's off, the team sometimes start to come alive, right? They realize, okay, we're just playing, we just got to do our best. There's no more.
They're going to try to get an engage on Armao. I think it's a little bit of desperation from Cloud9, just trying to find one angle to get that fight going.
Yeah, the Bard ult traded out there. Cloud9 knows they're running out of time, because again, this wave comes in, this is the timing. There's now supers in top. Fudge is maybe going to look for a deep TP. He's going to go for it.
Oh, the tower's already gone, though. They're just trying to find the play. Fudge goes over the wall. He's on Armao, but they turn right on him. He flashes immediately out. He's scared. But Armao, he's trying to flash himself out of there. Vault breaker back, and he's still alive. Finally goes down to the execution of JoJo. But Olleh's here, and Mask cleans up the kill on the Fudge. Now VULCAN just gets blasted by Castle, and they're on to the base here.
But Blaber just killed Tactical, so Tactical is actually gone. Berserker's on the run. If he can stay alive, doesn't look like he can, but if he could, Cloud9 maybe can hang on a little bit longer.
I don't know. They're back onto the turrets here. The win in their eyes. Castle and Olleh and Maz, they want to make this happen. They want to make over half of their, or at least half their wins over Cloud9 here. They get one more. Blaber's all by himself now. 2 shots not going to be there. As the shock blast does not connect, the last tower does fall, and IMT, they're on to the Nexus. They will take down Cloud9 and score a full 100% win rate against the would-be super team in the Spring Split.
Back-to-back wins against Cloud9 for Immortals this split. They have got to be so happy about that. Showing their worth here. Really creative draft. Really well executed from Immortals. This was a strong showing from this team. Cloud9 obviously trying to cook on the other side, but may have cooked a little bit too hard. It felt like Immortals had the answers to what they drafted. 4 melee champions with dashes against the Ziggs, and the Taliyah was really shut down hard. They utilized the Vi so well, focusing JoJo, who was going to be that major threat, because JoJo was the solo laner that wasn't behind. Fudge was put very far down by the Jayce in the early lane matchup, and then JoJo is just getting ulted by the Vi, seismic shove by the Taliyah, Ziggs ult on his head in the Shroud. He's getting almost 100-0 put out of the fight before anything even happened. So well executed by Immortals. That's got to build confidence towards summer.
It definitely does, and I think coming in with draft prep is the most important thing. We saw that come so well in
coolest
fold
draft
for
that
them.
we've seen in LCS.
Yeah, it was really awesome in the execution as well. Now, a reminder that Fantasy LCS is happening over on Sleeper. Make sure you lock in your picks and bans for next week's games if you want to top your league. Now we're headed to a break before Fly versus NRG, but first let's check in with Raz and JoJo in this week's MasterCard Player of the Week interview.
Welcome, JoJo, and congratulations on your Week 5 MasterCard Player of the Week.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Take a look at that. When did you actually end up getting that?
When I take this photo?
Yeah, the pose.
I think this was like right before the split. I don't even remember, to be honest. I was like doing a bunch of poses, and I didn't even know which one they would choose, but it looks pretty nice to me, so.
Yeah, it looks sick. It's MVP, two-time first team All-Pro overall, of course, Rookie of the Split. You got a lot of accolades. It's been a while since we've been here. We got 90 seconds, rapid-fire questions. If there's one question you don't want to answer, you don't have to. You can skip, and we can move on to the next one. You got it?
Good. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, let's go for it. 1, 2, 3, go. When is your next stream?
Today.
Today?
If we win today, yeah.
Okay, that sounds good to me. If you weren't in esports, what would you be doing?
It's tough. Maybe doctor, NBA player.
You got that height?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like 6'5". What else? Engineer. I don't know, too many options.
Okay, biggest pet peeve of your teammates?
That I get annoyed by?
Yeah.
That's hard. There's a lot. Maybe if my teammates are late, because I'm like always on time and it kind of annoys me when they're late. So.
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah. What's their pet peeve of you? What do they complain to you about?
I'm just too early to everything, so I'm just waiting for them, and it's kind of annoying.
Oh yeah, you're just so good, huh?
Yeah, they just feel kind of bad because I'm just right there waiting for them, so.
Favorite player to trash talk in general in the LCS?
APA, for sure.
Is there anything between you and APA?
I mean, he just trash talks a lot when he's like not playing too well, so it's kind of funny. So it's just fun trash talking him, yeah.
Is there a player outside of the LCS that you like or follow the most?
I would say Chovy for gameplay. Like, if I want to like see how to play the game or just laning, especially, I'll just watch Chovy for sure.
What champ would you want removed from the game?
Just jungle. No champion, just jungle role.
What jungler are you afraid of the most, and why is it River?
It actually is River. I don't know how you know that, but like, you never know what River's gonna do. He can be anywhere, so it's just annoying. He can be level 2 ganking you or just full clearing and you just don't know, so it's just annoying versing him.
Okay, let's open that up a little bit, because that's time for us. So like, is that just, has it been River for a while since he's been on Dig, like since you've been in the LCS, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always thought River was pretty good, even in solo queue too. When he first came into the league, I thought he was really good in a bad team. He was just everywhere, and like, I don't know, he would just gank you in the most random moments and still would not fall behind. Yeah, he's just good, and it's just annoying because he's very random.
Random?
In a good way.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. Okay, congratulations one more time. You passed the test, and hold that bad boy up.
I'm gonna show it to the camera right now. You guys can zoom in if you want.
There he is. Right there.
Cover more ground in the Kia Sportage Turbo Hybrid. Kia, movement that inspires.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hello, I'm here with Victorious Immortals support, Olleh. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys have a 100% win rate against C9 specifically.
Yes.
Looking at this composition, I heard a rumor. It's something you guys practiced in scrims.
Yes.
What made you decide to bring it out today against C9?
I mean, today we have nothing to lose. So just a lucky bird. Just win the game.
So was that true for the Jayce and the Ziggs as well? Because that seemed to be like the design of your composition from the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, like I heard a few years ago, Eddie played with the Alphari. So I don't know, I didn't watch, but there was Ziggs, like he picked Ziggs for Jayce top something. So I think, why not? So just pick Ziggs.
Did you know that you were the last player to play Ornn's support? Because VULCAN brought out the Ornn against you guys today. Were you at all surprised to see the Senna Ornn bot lane?
I mean, we were thinking, it's like when they first picked Senna, we picked Ziggs. I was kind of curious what they're gonna go, because they could go Wukong, TK, whatever, but Ziggs can do well against whatever they come. So I think we just predict to win.
All right, and you said you guys have nothing to lose. Unfortunately, you are eliminated from playoffs. Does this mean we get to see more fun picks in your next game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for playing Amumu or Camille support. So,
At least support?
I mean, if things okay, I just, yeah.
All right, thank you so much for taking the time, Olleh, and we'll head it back to the lounge for NRG versus FlyQuest.